Men, pay very close attention because what I'm about to tell you can completely change the way you think about women. In fact, if you genuinely understand this one lesson, you'll eliminate most of the frustration, confusion, and unnecessary effort that men experience when dealing with women. I'm making a bold promise, but stay with me until the end, because once you understand what we're about to discuss, you'll never look at attraction the same way again. Now, let me make something very clear. You do not have to chase women. I'm going to say it again because most men never truly understand this. You do not have to chase women. The reason so many men struggle with dating, attraction, and relationships is because they're constantly chasing. They're chasing attention, chasing approval, chasing validation, chasing text messages, chasing affection, and sometimes they're chasing women who haven't even earned that level of investment from them. The crazy part is that most men don't even realize they're doing it. They think they're showing interest. They think they're being persistent. They think they're proving how much they care. But in reality, they're creating the very problem they're trying to solve. Every time they put a woman's approval above their own self-respect, they give away a little more of their power. Now, if you're new here, my name is Isabella, and on this channel, we talk about female psychology, attraction, relationships, and the truths most people are afraid to say out loud. Here's what most men don't understand. Chasing isn't just something you do. Chasing becomes a mindset. It changes the way you think, the way you behave, and the energy you bring into every interaction with women. And the moment that happens, women begin responding to something that many men never even realize they're projecting. That's where the real problem begins. The reason so many men end up chasing women is because they don't realize what they're actually chasing. They think they're chasing a woman, but most of the time they're chasing validation. They want confirmation that they're attractive enough, successful enough, interesting enough, or worthy enough. The woman simply becomes the vehicle through which they're trying to prove something to themselves. Think about how many men completely change the moment they become interested in a woman. Suddenly, they overthink every text message. They analyze every conversation. They replay every interaction in their head, trying to figure out what she meant. One minute they're relaxed and confident, and the next they're wondering whether she likes them, whether they're doing enough, or whether they're about to lose her interest. That's not attraction. That's anxiety disguised as attraction. The truth is that wanting a woman and needing a woman are two completely different things. There is nothing wrong with finding a woman attractive. There is nothing wrong with wanting companionship, romance, or a relationship. The problem begins when your happiness becomes dependent on whether one particular woman chooses you. Women can feel that energy. They may not always be able to explain it, but they can sense when a man is enjoying their company versus when a man needs their approval. One feels confident, the other feels heavy. One feels relaxed, the other feels desperate. And the strange thing is that the harder a man tries to get validation from a woman, the less attractive he often becomes. That's why chasing rarely works. Because the moment you start chasing, you're communicating something about yourself that most men don't even realize they're communicating. What exactly are you communicating when you chase a woman? Most men believe they're communicating interest. They think they're showing confidence, persistence, or commitment, but that's not always what women see. In many cases, what a woman feels is something completely different. When a man constantly seeks reassurance, constantly checks for signs of interest, constantly worries about whether he's saying the right thing, he's sending a message without realizing it. That message is simple. I need you to tell me I'm enough. And that's where attraction starts to weaken. Women are naturally drawn to men who are comfortable in their own skin. Not perfect men, not rich men, not men who always say the right thing. They're drawn to men who seem certain of who they are. A man who doesn't need every interaction to go perfectly. A man who doesn't fall apart because one woman didn't text him back. A man who can enjoy a conversation without making his entire self-worth dependent on the outcome. This is why some men become so confused by female psychology. They look at another guy and wonder why women seem attracted to him even though he's not better looking, richer, or more accomplished. What they're often missing is that he's not seeking approval. He's not performing. He's not trying to convince anyone that he's valuable. He already believes it. That belief changes everything, because confidence isn't something you say. It's something people feel when they're around you. The same way insecurity can be felt without a single word being spoken. And once you understand that, you begin to realize that attraction has far less to do with impressing women and far more to do with how you see yourself when no woman is around. One of the biggest mistakes men make with women is believing attraction comes from doing more. They think if they text more, compliment more, spend more money, give more attention, or become more available, the woman will naturally become more attracted. That sounds logical on paper, but attraction rarely follows logic. In fact, many men have experienced the opposite. The harder they try, the less interested the woman seems to become. The reason this happens is because women are paying attention to something deeper than your actions. Yes, actions matter. Yes, effort matters. But what matters even more is the energy behind those actions. Are you doing these things because you genuinely want to, or are you doing them because you're hoping they'll make her choose you? There's a huge difference. A man who gives because he wants to feels confident. A man who gives because he's trying to earn approval feels needy. The action may look identical from the outside, but the energy behind it is completely different. And women are surprisingly good at sensing that difference. This is why some men become frustrated. They take women to expensive restaurants, buy thoughtful gifts, send good morning texts every day, and do everything they've been told should work. Then they watch another man invest half the effort and somehow get better results. What they're witnessing isn't unfair. They're witnessing the difference between attraction and approval seeking. The man trying to earn her attention is operating from scarcity. The man who already values himself is operating from abundance. And that difference becomes even more obvious when it's time to actually connect with a woman, because most men are not connecting at all. They're doing something completely different without even realizing it. This leads to one of the most important lessons you'll ever learn about women. Most men believe they're trying to connect, but what they're really doing is looking for confirmation. Confirmation that she's interested, confirmation that she's attracted, confirmation that they're saying the right thing, confirmation that they're good enough. And here's the problem. You cannot genuinely connect with someone while simultaneously checking to see if they're approving of you. Think about it. Have you ever been talking to a woman while constantly wondering what she thought about you? Were you fully listening to her? Were you fully present in the conversation? Or were you busy analyzing her facial expressions, her tone, her body language, and every word she said? Most men are so focused on the outcome that they completely miss the interaction itself. This is why talking to women often feels harder than talking to friends. When you're talking to your friends, you're not trying to win their approval. You're simply having a conversation. You're relaxed, you're present, you're being yourself. But the moment an attractive woman enters the picture, many men stop connecting and start performing. Before we continue, take a second to subscribe if you're enjoying this video. My goal is to help you understand female psychology in a way that actually improves your life, not just your dating life. The moment you stop trying to impress women and start focusing on genuinely connecting with them, something interesting happens. The pressure disappears. The conversation flows naturally. And for the first time, you're giving attraction a chance to develop instead of suffocating it with the need for validation. The reason so many men struggle to stop seeking validation is because validation feels good. When a woman gives you attention, responds quickly to your messages, laughs at your jokes, compliments you, or shows interest in your life, it creates a temporary emotional high. For a moment, you feel more confident, you feel more attractive, you feel more important. The problem is that confidence borrowed from someone else's approval never lasts. The moment her behavior changes, your emotions change with it. If she texts you back immediately, you feel good. If she takes 8 hours to reply, you feel anxious. If she's warm and affectionate, you're confident. If she becomes distant, you start questioning yourself. At that point, your emotional state is no longer under your control. You've handed the steering wheel to someone you've only known for a few weeks or months. That's a dangerous place for any man to be. Women naturally respect men who have their own center of gravity, men whose confidence isn't constantly rising and falling based on female attention, men who don't need a woman to tell them they're valuable because they've already built a life that proves it to themselves. This is why going all in on yourself is so important. And when I say work on yourself, I'm not just talking about making money or going to the gym. Those things matter, but they aren't the whole picture. I'm talking about becoming a man who enjoys his own life so much that a woman becomes a complement to it, not the foundation of it. Because when your life becomes bigger than your need for validation, something unexpected happens. You stop chasing women. And for the first time, women begin noticing something different about you. One of the biggest reasons women seem attracted to some men and completely indifferent to others has very little to do with looks, money, or clever lines. It has a lot more to do with presence. Most men are physically in the room, but mentally, they're somewhere else. They're thinking about what to say next. They're wondering if she's attracted to them. They're worrying about whether they're making a good impression. They're trying to predict the outcome before the interaction has even had a chance to unfold. And because they're trapped inside their own heads, they completely disconnect from the present moment. This is why so many men miss obvious signs. A woman can be smiling at them, asking questions, maintaining eye contact, and showing genuine interest, yet they don't notice any of it because they're too busy monitoring themselves. Instead of experiencing the conversation, they're evaluating their performance in the conversation. Women can feel this immediately. A man who is present feels grounded. He listens because he's interested, not because he's waiting for his turn to speak. He notices details. He responds naturally. He isn't trying to force chemistry because he's comfortable allowing the interaction to develop on its own. Think about the moments in your life when you felt most confident. Chances are you weren't overthinking. You weren't trying to impress anyone. You were fully engaged in whatever you were doing. That's what presence looks like. And the more present a man becomes, the less he worries about being accepted. Ironically, that's often when he becomes far more attractive because attraction grows naturally when a man stops performing and starts showing up as his authentic self. This is why I keep saying that the answer is not to spend more time chasing women. The answer is to spend more time building yourself. Most men have been taught that women should be the prize. As a result, they organize their lives around getting attention, getting dates, getting approval, and getting validation. Then they wonder why they constantly feel frustrated, confused, and emotionally drained. The truth is that a man who is focused on his purpose moves differently. He thinks differently. He carries himself differently. His attention is invested in building something meaningful rather than constantly trying to convince women to like him. And that changes everything. When a man has goals, hobbies, ambitions, responsibilities, and a clear direction for his life, he naturally becomes less needy. Not because he's pretending to be unavailable, but because he genuinely has things to do. His life doesn't stop because one woman didn't text him back. His mood doesn't collapse because one interaction didn't go the way he hoped. He has bigger things demanding his attention. This is what many people fail to understand about attraction. Women are often drawn to men who are moving towards something, not because women worship success, but because movement signals purpose. A man who is improving, growing, learning, creating, and progressing has an energy that is difficult to fake. People can feel it. Meanwhile, the man who spends all day worrying about women often ends up neglecting the very things that would make him more attractive in the first place. And once a man begins focusing on his own growth instead of chasing validation, he starts developing something that every truly attractive man possesses: real frame. So what exactly is frame? A lot of men hear that word and immediately think it means acting tough, being emotionally cold, ignoring women, or pretending not to care. That's not frame. In fact, most of the things men do to look confident are actually signs that they're still seeking approval. Real frame is much simpler than people think. Frame is knowing who you are before a woman enters your life. It's having standards, values, goals, and a direction that doesn't change depending on who's giving you attention. It's being comfortable with yourself whether a woman likes you, dislikes you, texts you back, or completely ignores you. The reason so many men struggle with women is because they haven't built that foundation yet. They know who they are when things are going well, they know who they are when a woman is interested, but the moment they face rejection, uncertainty, or silence, everything changes. Their confidence disappears, their mood changes, their focus shifts entirely toward getting validation again. A man with real frame doesn't operate that way. That doesn't mean he never feels disappointed. It doesn't mean he never experiences rejection. It simply means he doesn't allow those experiences to define him. His identity is bigger than one woman's opinion. His self-respect is stronger than his need for approval. And because of that, he remains consistent. Women notice consistency. They notice men who are comfortable being themselves. They notice men who don't abandon their purpose for attention. They notice men who don't desperately seek confirmation because they already know who they are. And when a man reaches that point, he discovers something that changes his entire experience with women forever. The men who attract the most attention are often the men who have stopped making women the center of their world. At the end of the day, this entire conversation comes down to one simple lesson. Stop making women the center of your life and start making yourself the center of your life. That's not selfish. That's necessary, because the moment a man builds his entire identity around female attention, he becomes vulnerable to every text message, every rejection, every mixed signal, and every moment of uncertainty. But when a man builds himself first, everything changes. He no longer walks into a room wondering if women will like him. He walks into a room focused on enjoying his life. He no longer spends hours trying to figure out what to text. He communicates naturally. He no longer needs a woman's approval to feel valuable because he has already proven his value